She thought he was just a dusty, rough-around-the-edges cowboy, someone she'd never give the time of day. But when danger closed in and her life was on the line, the very man she mocked became the one who saved her. In a town where appearances meant everything, she judged him at first sight, a black cowboy with weathered boots and calloused hands. She never imagined their paths would cross again, until the day her life depended on him. The sun hung low over the dusty plains, casting long golden shadows on the endless stretch of land. In the small town of Redstone, gossip traveled faster than the wind. Everyone knew about Emily Carter, the refined city woman who had moved to town to get away from the noise, as she called it. She was elegant, always in perfectly pressed dresses, her hair flawless, her manners sharp as a tack. But beneath that polished smile was a streak of pride, and a habit of looking down on people she thought beneath her. And then there was Daniel Hayes, known to most simply as the Black Cowboy. Tall, broad-shouldered, always in worn boots and a hat that had seen better days. He was a ranch hand, a skilled rider, and the kind of man who kept to himself. Some folks in town respected him for his work ethic and quiet courage, but others, like Emily, barely acknowledged him, except when she had something snide to say. Their first meeting was less than friendly. Emily had been walking her little dog near the edge of town when Daniel rode by, his horse kicking up a cloud of dust. Emily coughed, pulled her scarf over her mouth, and snapped, "Some people have no manners." Daniel had simply tipped his hat and ridden on, not rising to the bait. But the encounter stayed with her, not because she cared about him, but because she decided he was rude, unrefined, and exactly the kind of man she would never associate with. Weeks passed, and fate decided to stir the pot. One hot afternoon, Emily drove out past the edge of town, looking for inspiration for her paintings. She parked her car near an abandoned barn, not realizing the area was known for rattlesnakes and coyotes. As she set up her easel, she heard a low growl. Turning, she froze. Less than 10 feet away stood a large, mangy coyote, its ribs showing, but its teeth bared in hunger. Emily's heart pounded in her ears. She stepped back slowly, but her foot caught on a rock, sending her tumbling to the ground. The coyote inched closer, lips curling into a snarl. She screamed for help, though she was certain no one would hear her this far from town. But just as the coyote lunged, the pounding of hooves cut through the still air. Daniel burst onto the scene, his horse charging straight between Emily and the animal. In one swift motion, he swung down, grabbed a coiled rope from his saddle, and cracked it toward the predator. The coyote snarled one last time before darting into the brush. Daniel didn't stop there. He helped Emily to her feet, brushing the dust from her dress. "Are you hurt?" he asked, his voice calm but laced with concern. Emily shook her head, still breathless. I didn't think anyone would hear me." Daniel glanced toward the horizon. "Heard your scream halfway across the ridge. Guess I was in the right place at the right time." Emily felt her cheeks burn, not from embarrassment alone, but from the memory of every dismissive comment she'd ever made about him. Here he was, the man she'd mocked and judged, risking himself without a second thought to protect her. Over the next few weeks, she found excuses to see him, bringing pies to the ranch under the pretense of thanking him, asking about the horses, or simply lingering to talk. She learned he'd been working since he was 14 to support his family, that he knew the land better than anyone, and that his quiet nature hid a fierce sense of loyalty. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, they stood together outside the barn. Emily looked up at him and said softly, "I was wrong about you, Daniel. You're more than I ever gave you credit for." Daniel gave a small smile. Most folks only see what they want to see. That night, something shifted between them. The refined city woman and the humble cowboy, two worlds apart, found common ground in respect, gratitude, and a growing affection. Redstone would keep talking, as small towns always do, but Emily didn't care anymore. She had learned that true worth isn't in appearances or reputation, but in the courage to protect others, even those who never thought you would. She once saw only the dust on his boots. Now she saw the courage in his heart. Sometimes the people we underestimate become the very ones who change our lives forever.